My next guest just picked up a UFC contract on Tuesday, getting an impressive win on Dana White's Contender Series over Hilarie Rose. It is Cheyanne Buys joining me here on the program. Cheyanne, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, but I did not get a UFC contract this week. Congratulations. What a win that was. It was really impressive, and I just heard so many people talking about it. Now that you've had a chance to kind of digest everything, how happy were you with your performance?
I'm still kind of like... I'm happy, but I'm not like overly happy. Like I've known this for a long time that this was going to come. So I'm not letting the win like get to me, get to my head, because now I'm just like, now the true tough competition's about to start. Like I had a great tough opponent going into this fight. So that also is just like, I'm going to take that as tons of confidence going into the UFC. But now I'm like, okay, now it's title chasing season. Like that's next. That's the next goal. So.
No, absolutely. And obviously, it's just always got to look ahead as far as your career goes. But the game plan looked pretty solid. Stand and trade, I think it was pretty simple. I don't know if I was missing anything else there, but your striking looked really on point, and Hilarie didn't seem to have too many answers for that. Was that the game plan going in?
Yeah, so the game plan was just to strike with her. Like we actually thought that her grappling was going to be so good that like if it hit the ground that I was going to be on the defensive side. So for me, like, the game plan kind of switched. Like after the first round, I mean, we grappled for like in half the first round. I was on top of her, dominating. And after the first round, I go to my coach because personally, I like to grapple. But, you know, with this fight in particular, we thought that she was just this brown belt savage. Like she was going to come out the gates trying to take me down. So we were trying to stay away from that. And so after the first round, I go to my coach and I was like, hey, can I take her down? And my coach was like, you can, but you look good on the feet. And I was like, all right. And he was like, but if you do what you want now. So like the game plan completely switched when we were in the fight. I was able to do what I wanted. So I felt so comfortable. I was like, wow, like I can't believe I'm beating her in the grappling exchanges.
Yeah, no, it was a very interesting fight the way it played out. Was there anything else, you mentioned sort of having to switch game plans, was there anything else that surprised you about her as an opponent? I mean, you've got some of the best coaching in the world, but, at times, even the best preparation, things can kind of go differently in the fight.
Yeah, I was completely shocked with her striking. Like, she was game. Like, I mean, I gave that girl some of the hardest punches I've ever thrown in my life, and she just ate them. Like, I personally think I could have finished her if I didn't grapple her so much in the third round at the end, like the last minute. But, I mean, that's already 14 minutes in, and she's already taken a lot of punches. So, for me, my coach was actually correct. My coach was like, listen, you guys had 6 months to prepare for each other. So, we're both going to be in the best physical shape of our life. Like, we're both going to be ready for that contract. Because I know she wanted that contract just as bad as I did. But when we went out there and she started exchanging with me, I was like, okay, bitch, we gonna fight. Like, I was like, okay, I'm in for one. I was like, I'm gonna give you hell. I was like, so I was really actually surprised, like, how much she wanted to strike with me. But for considering, like, most of my fights, like, I'm the more pressure, more powerful. So that really shocked me, but it brought out the best in me. You know, like, she didn't land much, she didn't do much, but she was so tough and she didn't quit. So, like, it really made me, like, she made the best of me come out that night. So I'm really grateful for her.
So you get the win, obviously happy with your performance. I know you would have liked to finish, but it was still a very impressive and very entertaining fight. What's going through your head? Are you confident you're getting the contract at this point after you win the fight? Or what were you thinking at that point?
I kind of knew. I mean, my husband told me every single day, like, I was so nervous for this fight. Like, I was the most nervous I've ever been, like, which I usually get nervous, but like, this was next level nervous. Like, I was out freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get in a nasty fist fight. I was like, I'm going to kill this girl. But I was like, I'm so nervous. But my husband told me every day, if I just go out there and I be myself, I'm going to get that contract. And I was like, okay. So like, I would watch film on myself and I'm like, man, I bring an entertaining style. So I was like, I just got to go be me. And I knew for 100% fact I was going to get it.
So you get the contract, they announce it, everything's going well. What's the feeling at that point? Just because, you've made a lot of sacrifices. I don't think people realize, you've moved around a bunch. You've been doing, a lot of training for a while, and now you're a member of the UFC roster. What was that feeling like?
Again, I just feel so grateful. I mean, I'm just so grateful for everything. Like, I've just known I was going to be here at this level, and I've always felt like I was at this level. So for me, this is like nothing new. I'm just ready to fight the best, you know? I mean, the better fighters make you shine. So, you know, for me, I'm excited to go out there, and I'm just excited to test myself. Like, I kept saying, like, gangster shit only, and, like, you know, I'm a gangster, but, like, there's also tons of other gangsters now. So now I'm like, hell yeah, money fights. Like, I'm excited for these. Like, I know what I can bring to the table, and I've seen what these girls have brought to the table for many years. So I'm just blessed to be with them.
The UFC contract's the first step. I know your aspirations go way beyond that. You talked about the title and all these other things. Did you get to celebrate that night? Did you get to enjoy the win and just, you know, soak everything in?
Yeah, my best friend lives in Las Vegas, so I had her come pick me up, and the first place she brought me was Pink Box. We went to Pink Box, we got a dozen donuts, and then I don't know, I know Vegas people will know this place, but Skinny Fats. We went to Skinny Fats and got a nice burger and just went back to her house, and we watched the fight together. We laughed about it, we cried about it, and yeah, I just spent time with my friends, and it was just really nice to be back in Las Vegas. Like, I always consider that place a home. I've lived there for 3 years, but, you know, my best friends reside there, so it just felt so heartwarming.
Awesome. Now, the last time we talked about this sort of when we were setting up the interview, the last time you and I did an interview was back in April of 2018. It's been a while. A lot has changed since then. You've been married. You're now training in Texas at Fortis MMA. How much have you improved, not only just, you know, from your skill set, but mentally and just, you know, the growth you've had in your career since then? Because it's been really cool to see how much you've progressed since then. Not to say you were bad back then, but obviously things have changed since then, you know, with you getting this UFC contract.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I spoke to you right before my first loss as a pro against Helen Peralta. That was a really tough fight. But since that fight, you know, I lost to a decision. And I just grew from that. Like, I was really sad, but I just took that loss, and I was like, I don't ever want to lose again as a professional. So I went and I did what I needed to do that was best for me. I found my husband. My husband was like, listen, like, I really feel you will benefit with your style out here with my team in Africa. And, you know, for me, I was living in Las Vegas, like, fight capital of the world. I was like, no, I was like, I don't know. There's not many gyms that can beat mine. And when I went out to Africa, I went out there just to visit. And next thing you know, I ended up staying. I was like, next level. Like, people out there, imagine you're in Africa, you don't get opportunities like these Americans do. Like, if you're an American, feel so blessed, because there is so many talented athletes that do not get phone calls like we do. Like, being in the States, everything is just right there, right where you need to be. UFC calls you for a short notice, perfect. You're in the States, there's no visas. Outside of America, you have to be a standout. So the way that these people trained was with so much heart. Like, it really humbled you being out there. Like, I lost everything though when I went out there. I lost sponsorships, money, friends, coaches, everyone, you name it. They all stopped believing in me. So I just went ghost. I just went quiet. I took 2 fights with it while I was out there, but those fights weren't in the States. So, you know, it didn't get as much recognition as I felt like if I was there in the States and with sponsors. But, you know, being there, and then next thing you know, I got married, and I only resided to Dallas because of my parents. So in order for my husband to get a visa, he needed to be where I hold residency. But because I left Vegas, I don't have residency there. So we had to move to Dallas, but luckily we found Fortis there. And, you know, my coach back in Africa, he was the one who told us, listen, you guys need to go move. You need to go move, be overseas. You know, you're not going to get any opportunity out here. And even though we didn't get opportunities really out there, what we did get was a shit ton of training. We had one-on-one coaching with the best coach in Africa, actually probably one of the best coaches in the world, Richie Kwan. Like, that man took me under my wing. He already took JP, my husband, under his wing. But I mean, the year and a half I was there, every single day from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. at night, I was in the gym. I worked in the gym. I coached. I trained. You have 2 pro practices a day. I've never even heard of that. Like, you cannot work a full-time job living there and training. If you're a professional on the team, you can't even work. So it was definitely an experience that I didn't really get to talk about to many people, but it was I think that's what made me level up, was definitely moving overseas.
Well, great risks equal great rewards, right? Like you mentioned, giving up so much, and it's all worked out for you doing that, and it certainly paid off, which is great to see. We saw that on Tuesday, obviously. When are you looking to get back in there? I mean, this is a fresh win. I'm sure you want a little bit of time off to heal up some bumps and bruises, but when ideally would you want to make your Octagon debut?
So I talked to my coach about it. I have a really bad injury I suffered in fight camp for this fight. I have an MRI on Tuesday, so once we talk to the doctor and see how my MRI looks, then I can go from there. They wanted to match me right away, but, one, I'm suspended by the doctors for 180 days or until I get cleared before then. So I just need to go figure out some injuries and heal up, and I'll be right back in there. I'm definitely going to fight before the end of the year, though.
Okay, that's great. And any opponents that interest you? You're not the type of person to call people up, but I'm sure you're looking at the roster going, hey, that would be a fun fight.
No, they did give me a name. So I'm looking at that. I don't think I should say anything yet. Nothing's official, but I already have a name in mind per the UFC request. So I'm not going to call anyone out. I don't want no bad blood. I'm not like that. I just fight whoever they give.
Absolutely. Well, we'll definitely have to do another interview once they get that fight booked, and hopefully it all goes well with the MRI. Cheyanne, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for taking it here today on a Sunday. Just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you got any sponsors or shout-outs or thank yous or anything like that, I'll give you the last word.
No, yeah, all my sponsors, I have Directional Force. Who else? Directional Force, Bad Athletics. Those two were a very big part of this fight camp, and then CVC. Thank you guys so much. And Instagram, Shea War Princess.